New York City is not the city of love, and it's really never been known to be. So I don't know why I see so many posts like this of people complaining that they move here and they can't find anybody. Quantity does not equal quality. I want you guys to just get that through your heads, because a lot of you think that just because there's a lot of people here, that there's a lot of fish in the sea, so to speak, that, oh, you're going to find your mate here, you're going to find your partner here. Not going to happen. There has been so many videos on YouTube now talking about the New York City dating scene in 2025, and literally any person that gets interviewed on the street in those videos, they'll be asked, what do you think about the dating scene in New York? And everyone almost universally answers that it's a joke, it's chaos, it's a game, it's difficult, yada, yada, yada. So in this video, I'm going to explain why you will not find love in New York City, why you will not find a relationship in 2025 here. Now, I'm not saying that it's impossible. It's very much so possible, but in my opinion, the odds are stacked against you and it's very difficult. So if you're planning to move here and thinking you're going to find the love of your life here, please stay where you're at and save your money, okay? I've been single for like 8 years now. I've been on the apps, I've gone out to bars, I've gone out to clubs, I've done it all. Still single, and I'll basically explain why that is and basically the things that I've seen and encountered which contribute to why so many people here feel lonely and feel like they can't find anybody. So again, if you know me from my previous videos, hi, welcome back. And if you don't, my name is Struggling in NYC. I'm a New York City native. So I basically just talk about New York City and all other topics associated with that. And one thing that I notice is that a lot of people here think that dating and that love life here is just amazing because there's so many people, there's so many options to choose from. And do you actually know that that's actually what makes it so awful? The fact that there's so many people here, that there's such endless options, that there's so many fish in the sea, makes it more competitive, more difficult, because you're basically having to compete for attention, compete for time, compete for, just basically being first or the chosen one, so to speak. Because everyone here is looking for the next best thing. Like, sure, you may be hot, but there's always someone hotter, Sure, you may be smart, but there's always someone smarter. Sure, you may be successful, but there's always someone that's more successful than you. And basically, everyone's always trying to look for the best of the best, right? This is a very vain city. People are very driven on youth, looks, and money. And if you don't have one of those things, or most of those things, or all of those things, you will suffer here. You will be shut out. You will be ignored, okay? Everyone here is always looking for the next best thing. So yeah, you may come along and you may be strung along, go out on some dates, hit it off chemistry-wise, but sooner than later, you'll just be forgotten about. You'll be ghosted. You'll be ignored. They'll just move on from you because, again, they're looking for something better. They're looking for the best of the best. They will never be satisfied until they think they've hit the wall, right? They've hit the limit of, okay, this is the best that I can attain. This person has looks, this person has youth, this person has money. And so this idea that just because there's a lot of, people here, that there's a high amount of quantity of dating options here is a good thing is actually, in my opinion, a bad thing. Because instead of being a big fish in a small pond, you're a small fish in a big pond. So you get lost in the shuffle. You get quickly ignored and overlooked. And I feel like that's my experience. And I've put myself out there and all these other things, but it's still not enough, right? You have to have connections. You have to have money. You have to have looks. And then maybe you'll be toyed around with for a little bit if you have some of those things, but eventually it just won't amount to anything because, again, people here are always on the hunt for something that's better, okay? And that's just unfortunately the psychology and the mentality of a lot of the dating pool here in New York City in 2025. Now, before I continue this video, I just want to mention that, of course, this is not an exhaustive list of things that make dating here so difficult in 2025. And also, I just want to let you know that, of course, a lot of these things aren't exclusive to New York City, but I am speaking from a New York City point of view because I was born and raised here and I currently live here, okay? So just please, for the Captain Obvious is in the comments. I know that a lot of these things are not exclusive to New York City, and I know that this is not an exhaustive list. This is just giving you some of the things that I've seen the most, while trying to find somebody here to basically partner up with. All right, so another reason why you will not find love in New York City in 2025 is because everyone here is always hustling. Everyone here is always distracted and busy and occupied. And honestly, it took me a while to not take it personally when somebody would be like, hey, I don't have time. Hey, I'll be at work, because they are just so just in the hustle. I know so many people, for example, my coworkers all have 2, 3 jobs just to make ends meet. They don't have time to be social except during the weekends. And by then you're too tired due to the week that you just stay home and do nothing. So many people here work multiple jobs just to make ends meet. So of course, there isn't time for you. There is no time and space to make or build connections because everyone is so busy, so occupied. People here are very driven, very career driven, especially if you're young. And that's another thing I'm going to get into later. Like, if you are in your 20s, you're not really looking to settle because you're just starting to build the foundations of your life. And so, like, people here really just don't have the time or the mental capacity to create long-term relationships. Another reason why you will not find love in New York City in 2025 is just, again, because of something I talked about a little bit earlier, which is unrealistic expectations. Everyone here wants a Romeo or a Prince Charming, somebody that has model looks, 10 everything, 10 in connections, 10 in money, 10 in youth, 10 in physical traits, and so forth. And so, since everyone always wants the best, 99% of people can match up to that. And so we'll all just be shut out. We'll be shut out from that because we can't measure up to those high standards. And so this is just something, I guess, that's just more of a, societal thing. Like, Instagram has made people super vain. Now everyone has to be performative and put on a face that oh, look at all these friends I have. Look at all this money I have. Look at how hot I am or whatever. And it's hard to find people that are not like that. For example, I don't even use Instagram, but I feel like it's definitely a popularity contest where it's like, oh, who do you know? Do you know this person? Do you know that person? How many likes do you get on your posts and so forth? And that social capital is what allows you to, not only meet people, but also potentially get even any sort of attention. I know that are people that I've given my Instagram to, and they see how little followers I have and they just lose interest. Because again, people here just want somebody that has these type of things. And I definitely do not. And I will not play that game or pretend that I have those things or pretend to be somebody that I'm not. That's just not something that I'm interested in. Okay, another reason why you won't find love in New York City in 2025 is due to the extreme rise in hookup culture. Now, I'm just going to touch upon this briefly because I know this can be a little controversial, but a lot of people here, due to many reasons, don't want to commit anymore, because at the end of the day, a relationship is an investment. A relationship is an investment in your time and your money, okay? And a lot of people don't want to sacrifice that anymore because we are living in hard times. We're living in a recession. And on top of this, a lot of people just aren't worth that effort and that dedication. And so what has become now of relationships, they've become very, spur of the moment, very transactional, very performative, and that has led to the rise of hookup culture. So, of course, people here are just on to the next, on to the next, on to the next. They are not looking for something that's long-term or consistent. They just want, quick satisfaction. They want to get right to the point, which is sex, obviously. And that's it. After we're done with that, skedaddle. It's become more of a hobby. Using people sexually has become a hobby now. And this is a very weird time we're living in because we really haven't had this before. And the internet has allowed this to happen so quickly that people here now are just kind of disposable, to be frank. Oh, I have needs, I have sexual needs. Let me just find somebody for this. And then when I'm done, move on with my life. Whereas before, obviously, to get to that point, you needed to build a foundation with somebody. You needed to get to know somebody. You needed to, wine and dine them or whatever. Now it's just come over, get it done, get out. So obviously, when you're in a culture that's immersed in that, how are you going to find somebody that truly wants something outside of that, right? And it just feels like it's a constant cycle of never being satisfied, a constant cycle of just looking and looking and looking, a constant cycle of on to the next, on to the next, on to the next. And I'm not going to be hypocritical. I participate in hookup culture too, partially because, like, not to sound like I'm justifying it or like to excuse myself, but I feel like I've been forced to in this city, because when people here say they're looking for a relationship, they don't really mean it. They don't really put in the consistent effort. And of course, I obviously want to have fun too. I obviously want to make connections. And of course, you know, I'm a young person. I want to engage in my sexuality. Of course, I'll do it too. But this is not something that I would want to do long term. You know, eventually I would love to have a relationship that's long term and settle down and whatever else. But a lot of these people here just feel like they just have turned something that's so, in my opinion, like, I don't know, requires connection, like sex, into something that's just so transactional and so meaningless. Like, they have made sex boring. They have made sex dull. And it's kind of hard to imagine, like, how can you make that, of all things, boring and dull? But that's how it feels like, because there's no passion, there's no intimacy. It's just like, okay, I satisfied my need, get out. And so it's like, how can you build a relationship with the people that are like this? Like, how can you make that happen if this is who is around you that's looking for something? You know what I mean? You guys just may not have shared goals or intentions, because like I told you, outside of sex, what do you have in common, right? With that person, outside of hooking up. Let's say you do make a connection with somebody that's sex-based or hookup-based, you know, or you met at a bar or whatever, you find them attractive, even just something like that. But what do you have outside of that? Do you have any common goals, common interests, common purposes? Do you view life the same way? If you don't, good luck, you know, because people here just are very ambitious and they're very career driven, and they're just focused on the me, about advancing my life and my career, because again, a lot of people flock to New York City to expand their careers. So if you definitely don't have a sense of self and know who you are and what you want, you will struggle to find love or a relationship here, because again, you need to know yourself first before you can really establish something with someone else that's long term. But anyways, that's it for this video. I hope you found it entertaining or informative, and if you liked it, please share it and like it and leave a comment, because I love to hear what you guys think. Do you feel the same? Do you share these experiences as well in New York City? Let me know below, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks.